to Queen's Mindset. If this is your first time joining us, welcome, 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 welcome. We're so glad to have you with us. Welcome to our season 2, Battered, Bruised, Not Broken. Tonight with me, I have a phenomenal guest. I can't wait for you to hear her story. I'm just, sitting by the edge of my chair. I can't wait to introduce her to you guys. But before we go any further, if you have not done this already, I want you to go right ahead. Let's click that subscribe button just right below this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you have not done that already, go ahead and like this video. Also share it with a friend and feel free to comment below. All right, let's head right into it. Danielle, welcome, welcome, welcome to Queen's Mindset. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am great. As a matter of fact, I am excited to be here and to share this virtual space with you. And I'm looking forward to see where this conversation would go.
Yes. Oh, yes, I am too as well. So go right ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, Danielle.
Okay, so I see myself as a transformational agent placed on this earth. That's how I see myself.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Danielle, as you rightly said. I am from the beautiful Caribbean island of Trinidad and Tobago, and I know we pride ourselves as being Caribbean girls. So I am from Trinidad and Tobago, deep south in particular. So I am a mom of 3 beautiful little adults. My eldest is 19, and a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. I am married to one sweet, very handsome guy for the last 21 years. The roles that I fill outside of those, which are my favorite roles, pastor. I'm a pastor as well. Also, my profession is a family life counselor, and I am also the founder of an NGO in Trinidad and Tobago, the Priceless Foundation for Women. And together with my husband, we do own Faith Based Family Life in Richmond Center. Outside of that, my favorite color is yellow because it makes me feel happy. I love people. I love to interact with people. So, yeah, my hobbies. What is something that I like doing? Baking. I love to bake.
Nice, yeah. Nice. So, wow, I mean, those are a list of things, Danielle. How do you find the time to do all those things? Wow.
I would normally tell people that my priority is family, but I know when to wear my hat and make it most appropriate so that I can find some balance. And in the middle of all of that, I still take some me time. Just the me, some self-care time. Yeah,
definitely, because that's definitely needed. Okay,
definitely.
So yes. So tell us about your story. I know you have such a powerful story. Tell us a little bit about your story.
So I like how you said a little bit of my story because there's so much. So I'm going to share a little bit of my story. Mm-hmm. You asked me to introduce myself, but if I, go back down memory lane, I would have never said I'm a transformational agent.
Wow.
I never saw myself as that. Reason being of the things that I would have gone through in the past. Mm-hmm. One thing in particular that brought me to this place of feeling or owning or embracing this transformational agent tagline is my experience in relation to being sexually groomed or abused, as we would say it. And that happened at the age of 12. And, most people listening will say, wow, this is really traumatic. But my experience was so deep rooted because it was a Christian gentleman. So you could imagine my experience with not just this individual, but God and I, we didn't have a good relationship because, of course, my views about God, I was really angry with God because of my experience at the age of 12 and not understanding why I had to go through this stuff, And then at the age of 14, I found myself again in another close call situation where I was almost raped. And so my bitterness and my anger wasn't just towards the gentleman, but it was really directed to God. And why am I here? If you want me, if I have to face all these experiences, why did you bring me here? And that was just generally my situation outside of having to deal with between the age of 12 to 14. My parents separated, my school life went downhill. So there were so many things coming out of my experience. Most mostly, to me, if I put it in a nutshell, I really lost who I was because of the situation. I lost me. I didn't even know, I couldn't even find the Danielle inside or the person that God placed on this week. So that's some of my experiences.
Wow. You said that it started from the age of 12. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So okay.
yeah.
So walk me through that, that when it occurred, when the first encounter occurred, like how did that happen?
Well, and I know you would be familiar. It was just when I passed for my secondary school, so I was excited about being in Form One,
Yeah.
and the environment that I grew up in, we were very welcoming to people in our homes, having sleepovers, those type of things. And this gentleman was really in my home at the time, befriending us as a family friend. And I remember coming home from school one evening, very excited to get to my homework. And I was sitting at the table, and I felt this person put their body part, their genital on my back. And I was like, okay, am I dreaming? What am I experiencing here?
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, he would not move. And he said to me, be calm, it's okay. You can finish your homework, it's fine. I'm just giving you some level of comfort. At that point in time, I
Yeah,
didn't even know what to do, what to say, how
yeah.
to respond. My emotions was basically mixed up. At that time, I wasn't angry with God as yet, but I was feeling ashamed. I started to feel exposed. I started to feel, okay, what are you doing? There's something wrong with this experience here. And it didn't stop there. It continued. And I lost my voice. I lost my voice to say anything because I felt judged,
Yeah.
and fear stepped in. If
Mhm.
I speak up, people would look at me like, you put yourself in that position. I
In a
started to
place,
feel
yeah.
afraid. I developed, I became very shy and
Mhm.
internalized stuff. So all those things we're going through, those were the emotions that were popping up, during that time because it lasted for a while.
Wow.
So
Because you
it
said
was,
the next one encounter was at the age of 14, you said.
yeah. So with that, the first encounter lasted around for a year. For around a year, I did, in order for me to cope, I started to write. And,
Mm.
every girl at that time have a diary, right? So we
Sure.
had a little diary. So
Mm.
I started to write because growing up in the environment which I did, we never had the embrace of let's chat, mommy and daughter talk, or daddy and mommy. And I don't blame my parents because they were already going through their situation.
Okay.
And so I started to write. And that I used that opportunity to put my voice on paper. And then as I grew older, I found myself, I think I visited a family home, and this gentleman said, kind of lowered me into a space that was a bit close call, and kind of blocked me into the room. And at that point, the
Mm.
strength that I got, I did not know where it came from. Now I could say it came from God,
Yeah.
and I was able to voice my opinion to say, no, this cannot happen.
Right.
And it was at that point I realized that I could say no to. I have a voice, but it didn't take away from the fact that these four gentlemen were Christian, and it didn't take away from the fact that I still felt exposed and really violated on all levels. And
Mhm.
so even though I said no to stop the second time, I was still left with shame. I
Yeah.
started to blame myself. I felt my relationship with God went downhill because I grew up in church, right? I loved the Lord,
Mhm.
passionate about God, and my relationship with God went really downhill. I couldn't pray, I couldn't fellowship, I was always angry. One of the things that lasted, and I can talk about that later down, that touch for me
Mhm.
was very scary. I didn't want person to come close to me or to engage in feeling this warmth or hugs and stuff. That was a big no-no.
Mm.
it was so bad that I could not even wear a necklace. So you see me wearing a necklace, they would speak volumes because touch, I was very sensitive to touch, and I actually locked myself off from feeling anything close to my body.
Wow.
Um, that sort of thing. So that was my bit of trauma in that instance.
Wow. So was did it happen? So okay, was it the same guy both times, or was it?
No, it was not the same guy both times. The first gentleman, he eventually backslid within a year after the experience. Um, the second guy, it was not the same person, but he was a family friend, another family friend. And because of how we grew up very close, we always had people around, always. So, we always would spend time cooking and, just fellowshipping. So this was another guy. Yeah.
Wow. I see. I like what you shared there just now. With you guys coming up in the family home, being a family friend, and most times when these things happen, it's
Yeah.
always somebody who is close to the family, which
And that is why it was so difficult to avoid.
yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, makes it
Yeah.
more difficult for you to say something because that person is already well trusted, and who's going to believe you and all that stuff. So I know you said that at the time your parents were going through their own thing, but at any time did you ever tell them what you encountered or?
No, I kept it. It's, I kept it very, very quiet. I spoke to one person within my youth ministry community, and but I kept it from my mom because I was really scared of what she would think.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of assumptions being formed, and that happened naturally, So I didn't tell my dad because he he was not safe, and I wasn't sure of how would have responded to or reacted to individuals. So I kept that. So, but my mom found out.
Mm.
Yeah, she found out, and that she revealed to me only some years after when we were chatting. She said, that happened, I think, when I had my first child in 2007. She told me. And this, um, I'm 41 years of age. So check the age. This happened to me when I was 12, and I kept it very quiet
Mhm.
until, 2007. And we were chatting, and she said to me, you're so involved in helping women and stuff. And I knew why. So I asked her, well, why? And she told me that she read it, but did not know how to deal
Mm.
with it because she too had an experience when she was younger.
Wow.
And so she was dealing with her own internal situation and did not know how to help me, but knew about it. So I didn't hold that against her because I understood
Mhm.
and we were able to work through it because by that time I was already healed from the experience.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we was able to really work through it. And I thank God for the timing of her being able to reveal that she knew because I want to backtrack a bit. In
Mhm.
my teenage years, we didn't have a good relationship because her relationship with my dad was already strained. So she was because was involved with a lot of women, and so she was dealing with her stressors. So in dealing with us as children,
Mhm.
really she was really bleeding out on us, trying to balance between her stress and us. And so we had a normal teenage deal mommy daughter kind of pulling and tugging. So I said, Lord, I really thank you that that didn't come out at that point in time because I really didn't know what was going to happen throughout that experience then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then who was your support then? Did you have anyone to confide in?
Yes, I had my best friend within the youth ministry, and you know, and so I would have shared it with her, and she was able to bring some support to another elder in our church,
Mhm.
and so I got that support, and eventually they spoke to the young man, and we dealt with it there. I never confronted him,
Mhm.
but it was dealt with through that. They had their in discussions and that sort of thing. So eventually, I was able to talk about it because I could not cope with having the information And
Mhm.
God is so good. God was really setting me up for today and setting me up for what I'm doing now. That's why I can say I'm a transformational agent because I was able to share my experience to help others.
Mhm.
So, I got back my voice, but so my support system was my best friend, like a sister to me. And then she included another trusted elder in the church that we spoke.
Good. You see, God does nothing by coincidence or surprise.
No,
He already has.
no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And, as traumatic as it was to me, um, I really thank God for the experience all the time.
Mm.
I do. I really do. I would not trade it for anything. Yeah.
So when you were going through that, at any point did you feel like giving up on life? Because I know you mentioned that you just felt like, God, like, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Live
I I had a lot of whys for God and all capital letters as well. WHY, why? And where are you? Why am I going through this? I wasn't settled in my spirit. And there were a lot of moments I felt as though my existence wasn't relevant.
Mm.
And that, during that year, during that time, you're also going through puberty
Yeah.
and so many other things you're facing as a teenager, so many other experiences that you're having. So I was just in the middle of my personal experience, in the middle of puberty, trying to find myself. So it was just a lot and
That's a lot.
felt on most times to just disappear and
Mhm.
not exist. And just why am I here? So I felt it. I thought about it. I wrote about it. Just not being around, especially at the age of 14, dealing with the 12 to 14, and then my parents separated. So that was something else that
Wow.
compounded the issue,
Yeah.
and so I just felt like disappearing.
And but at least you had your best friend there. You were able
Yes,
to share that with
yes.
you as
And
well.
she was really a great support, and even the elder, that gentleman was an extremely understanding, trusted friend that I was able to at least have conversations with both my best friend and him and biblical counsel to help me
Mhm.
through, so that I wouldn't run away from God and run from the church. And, so they really provided a great support system for me. Yeah.
So at what stage then did your charity birth? Like where did that come from? Because that was always God's plan. This is where He was allowing you to go through everything that you went through. But at what moment did you recognize, like, I want to help women too as well?
And that is so good that you asked that question because at the age of 16,
Mhm.
I got an encounter with God that was so marvelous. I remember asking God, why am I here? And He said to me, three ways, which is my nonprofit organization tagline. He said, you are loved, you have value, you
Mm.
add value,
Mm.
and you are priceless.
Wow.
And he kept repeating those words to me. And I started to, and it was in a service when I was talking to God, and He said, I have work for you to do. I am not done with you as yet. Use your experience and heal. So
Mhm.
whereas persons would, go to counseling, and which is good because I'm now a counselor, I
Mhm.
didn't have that opportunity before me. But He said to me, if you want to heal, talk about your experience. And I started to talk about the experience to others, not disclosing the details of the individual, because that is something that God told me to leave alone.
Yeah.
Uh, but to talk about how I felt and how to overcome. And by me talking,
Mhm.
God started to work,
Wow.
even in the area of forgiveness,
Mm.
starting to deal with the unforgiveness. And it was so amazing. I was doing worship in church, coming out before I passed the role of
Mhm.
worship leader. And I remember telling God while I was leading worship, I said, God, through my worship, I want this to be healed and delivered, just like people would preach. And He said to me, okay, no problem. I'll do it for you. And some years passed by, and I said, but God, you told me you would do this thing. And I remember in my late 20s, my late 20s, doing worship again.
Mhm.
And I said the same thing. And my eyes was closed. And when I opened my eyes, I said, you want to go to another level? Forgive. Didn't realize I was still holding on to that unforgiveness in my heart from so long until my mid 20s.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, God, I'm ready. And when I opened my eyes, the gentleman that I had the encounter with at the first time when I was 12 was at the altar.
Wow.
And I was like, he
Wow.
said, this is your test. He
Wow.
came back to the Lord. And so in that moment, I had to release everything. And he didn't know what I was going through and doing the worship, but he was at the altar. So he didn't know God was behind
Yeah.
all this. And, it took me gradually, it took me some time because it was a
Mhm.
process for me to go through and to really fully release. I have had moments of, seeing the individual, the person with the first encounter and just being in a shock even after. And then God had to be like, listen, you're delivered, you're healed. You're delivered, you're healed. So, but now it's very easy because I can talk to the individual.
Mm.
I forgive and release, and because God is using this experience to change lives, different
Yes.
levels. That is why I will not trade it for the world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Wow,
Yeah.
that's powerful. So then, okay, so of course you had before you were able to go through your deliverance and everything. I'm just thinking about you're growing up, you get to the age where you can actually now date. And how was that for you? Because now if a man comes into your life, you're still remembering what you went through. How were you able, or were you able at that time, or you were already delivered? How did that happen? How did that go for you?
Um, and you see, I'm blushing because I'm thinking about my husband. So we met. I got married at the age of 19.
Mm.
Subconsciously, yes, I really love him and everything, but there was a part of me just wanted to just run from home because I had all these responsibilities. By this time, my mom and my dad were separated. They went their separate ways. We had a good relationship. My mom, my dad, we all had, but we just could not be in one space. And at the age of 19, I got married and only realized that I am still carrying this because our intimate life started to be affected.
Wow.
And it went as far as even when my daughter was at the age of 9.
Mhm.
So we could have things that we feel we deal with, and it's really buried. And I remember my daughter looking at me and she's like, Mom, how come you don't make me hug you for long? Or why are you always jumping when somebody touch you? Or you always, and that broke me down.
Wow.
And I realized that while I'm asking God for healing, it's affecting every relationship that I have with people. So I had to really continue the journey of getting this healing, partnering with God. I tell people healing is available to us, but we have to partner with God for it. He is excited to come close to the brokenhearted and to those crushed in spirit, but we need to partner with him to do it. So I had to partner with God and say, here, what God, take everything, fix me, fix me. I am broken, fix me. My husband and I would, in our counseling space, we would always tell our clients that wounds that are not healed
Mhm.
or hidden, you bleed out on those who did not cut you. And that is what was happening to me. But
Mhm.
God did the work, and I bless God for that.
Wow. So how did your husband feel? Did you tell him before you guys got
Yeah.
married?
Yes, I told him before we got married. So he was very accommodating, very understanding. And that's what I love about him. He stuck with me throughout the whole journey. He's still with me. And we were able to, he became my safety ground because my best friend would have moved on in life, and he became my safety, my BFF, as you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would talk about it. He would ask me, how am I feeling? So, and, and there's a saying that shame dies in safe places. And my shame went away because he provided a safety net. And not just that, he's a man of God. So when I needed biblical counsel, he gave it to me. And when I needed that support outside of biblical counsel, he was there for me and still is there. So that helps a lot.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah.
It really does. That's really wow. So tell us a little bit more then about your counseling services and some of the work that you have done so far.
Well, so our counseling, we deal with individual, families, marriage, premarital, all that. But so far, we have dealt with both my husband and I. We would do couples together because we find that it's even more effective when you come into a space and there's a couple before you who can present something that is real and truthful to both sides, so that the men won't feel as though they're alone or the woman wouldn't feel as though they're alone. So we will deal with the couples on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
My target audience are women and girls who go through trauma just like I did. So I have met a lot of women who have gone through abortion. So I'm also a peer abortion counselor, recovery, post-abortion recovery counselor. So they have gone through abortion, sexual abuse. And what is amazing in that space, while I hear their stories, I present to them a view that they can rewrite their stories through a Christ lens, through Christ lens. A lens that is different from what the world provides, but we can relate, because when they're sharing their story, I can say, yes, I understand. So that is what this experience gave me, an advantage of helping others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long you've been counseling for?
I would say informally on my Christian walk, because it's so significant, because I used to always ask God, so why does person come into me to talk to me all this time? God is preparing me for this journey. And it's like, God, I have my own issues to deal with. And he's saying, listen, do it. And that was my training ground. But formally, we've been counseling, pastoral counseling since 2014. We recently launched our own practice outside of the church so that we can target the audience that does not come to church. So we have launched our own practice in 2020. COVID did us well, I would say.
Good. That's good. That's good. Because there are persons out there who definitely need that guidance and that assistance as well to navigate.
Yeah, definitely. And what we have found is that there are persons, because the church can be very judgmental.
Yes. Yes.
Very, very judgmental. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't come out in the open and share in the beginning. They can be very judgmental for reasons, so many reasons. So we have provided a safe space, and that's the name of our counseling practice, Safe Place Family Life Enrichment Center, because we want persons to understand that bring your experience. It's a judgment-free zone. So you would find persons coming in from the church, not in the church, coming into the space, sitting with us and having that experience that I can share anything and get help. And that's what people need. We fail as Christians because Christ, when we fall, he doesn't push us away. He opens his arms and he embraces us. But it comes so natural for us as humans. The minute somebody fall or going through something negative, we push them away. So we have embraced the Jesus model of embracing others when they go through their experience.
I like that. So tell us where we can find out more information about, Safe Place.
Our website, www.safeplacefamilylife.com. You can find that there. You can contact us 868-263-1046. And our email is very easy to get. It's safeplacefamilylife@gmail.com. Our booking services is pretty simple. As you go to the website, you click book, you choose a date and a time that's appropriate for you. We will either provide you with virtual counseling or in-house counseling. We also do teletherapy. Just this evening, I was chatting with a young man who is having some anxiety issues via the phone so that he can go through some grounding exercise. So we make ourselves available to serve. That's who we are. We serve others to transform life. One person asked, your tagline is helping persons transform their experience into a better life, one conversation at a time.
Mhm.
One conversation at a time to bring transformation. And that's how we see life in general.
I love it. I love it. So tell me then, Danielle, because I know when you were coming up, you were thinking, okay, why am I here? Why is this happening to me and everything? But then you became a pastor's wife. So how is that? How was
Woo! Oh my God, that was me running like Forrest Gump. That was like God started to talk. I mean, I saw myself as a worship leader all my life. I love to sing.
that?
So, I never saw myself going down the minister of religion path. And I remember my husband always saw the call. He had it. I mean, he's a pastor as well.
Mhm.
And when God started to speak, I put on my boots and I started to run. And he said to me, "You cannot run. There's a message that I want you to carry with this hat." And I said, "God, I don't want this. I don't want nobody to lose this. I just don't. I don't want it." And he said to me, "It's not about what you want, because obedience is going to be your pathway to freedom."
Mm.
And I said, "Okay." I
Mhm.
accepted it, after much conversation, because God and I, we talk, we have our conversation. I'm like, like, what's going on with you though? Why are you calling me to this? So, and eventually, but what was great about it is that my husband is also a pastor. So we are able to support each other
Yeah.
on this journey. And, it there's good and bad days. In regards to ministry can be very heavy, especially when you have to juggle family life.
Mm.
But we thank God that we have we make intentional efforts to ensure that our family life is on track. Very, very intentional effort to do so. So I can say I love it now. We still have our little conversation, God and I, but God is good. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Because I always wondered, I know everybody sees the glitz and the glamour and they think, oh, that's good. You're this and you're that. You're doing that for God and stuff. But it's a huge sacrifice that you have to make, like you said, in terms of family and everything, and just juggling everything else that is going on around you. Because being a pastor, you are actually, that's like you're caring for a whole church. So you have multiple people coming at you at different times. And then things are happening at home
Yeah.
and you have to juggle that. So I'm glad that you were able to open and share that with us. So tell us then, what would you say to a person who may be, going through something that you would have similar to what you would have gone through, and they're at that stage where they're thinking, why me? Why, why is this happening to me? Just let me get me out of this somehow. What would you say? What advice would you give to someone who is in that space right now?
First thing I would say to person is exactly what God said to me,
Mm.
that you are loved. When you experience this, you don't feel love. There's a sense of rejection that you feel from all sides. So I would say to them, you are loved, you have value. And not just that, you add value. And that your worth, you are priceless. And as I grew in the faith, God also told me, let people know there is hope. Let's talk about it.
Mhm.
Let's talk about it. And that's where I start.
Mhm.
And person tend to just start to see, let's open it. You may not see the big picture, but let's talk about it and make them feel included. Make them feel and make them know that you are supporting them on this journey. Because I'll tell you this, when you feel alone, it's this journey is very scary.
Mhm.
And you have to present a support system to people. And if you can find one person who you can lean on,
Mhm.
that's good. And you be there, be loyal, and be committed to helping the individual on their journey. And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So, and to that person that may be watching right now, who may be struggling with forgiveness because you've been through it,
Ah,
and God has pulled you out, you've been delivered, but you're still holding on to the fact that it has happened. What would you say to that individual right now in that is struggling with forgiveness in terms of how important it is for them to be able to let go and just let God. What would be your advice to that person?
I would let the person know that unforgiveness is a prison that you have set up for yourself,
Mm.
and that to free yourself from that prison. Forgiveness is not for the individual. Forgiveness is for you. And then comes the individual, because you may not ever get the opportunity to tell somebody, I forgive you, or to ask for forgiveness, and you would be trapped in that element. And I think most times we make the mistake or the flawed view that forgiveness is really for the person. It is not for the person. Forgiveness is for you. Free yourself from the prison, the self-inflicted prison of unforgiveness. And that is what I would say to the individual.
Awesome. But Danielle, it was so awesome talking to you tonight. I definitely enjoyed it. I know for a fact that someone who's watching right now, they have gained something from something you have said. I know they know that they too can overcome and they too do not have to stay in that place, that they can actually forgive and let go and let God. So I just really want to thank you for sharing from the bottom of your heart. We definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And are there any words that you would like to say to them before we go?
Yeah, I just want person to know that they don't have to be trapped in their past. Your past is not you are not meant to be defined by your past. I know we hear this all the time, but it's a fact. Your past is part of your history, but it doesn't mean that you must be defined by it. And God expects that we use our past as learning experiences to help build our life. That is what I did. And that is why I'm now able to say I am a transformational agent on the earth. And that is what God expects for us to do. So don't feed your experience. Don't focus on your experience as though it's the end of the world. It's okay to start over. Two things when you're starting over in life and when you are delivered, you are starting with experience. And as the children of God, you are starting as an overcomer. And that is amazing. That is something we should look forward to and live life through a Christ lens. And that's important.
Yeah, well said. Tell us again where to find your counseling services again.
Right? A Safe Place Family Life Enrichment Center, www.safeplacefamilylife.com, Trinidad and Tobago, and we provide virtual or in-house counseling. And you can email us at safeplacefamilylife@gmail.com or via telephone or WhatsApp 868-263-1046, and we will get to you definitely.
Awesome. Well, once again, guys, you have heard it from Danielle. She has shared with you from the heart. If you like this video, go right ahead and just hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have also liked the video as well, and you've shared it with your friends and family so they too can gain the information that Danielle has just shared. Danielle, thank you so much, so much. It was definitely a pleasure having you.
It was my pleasure being here. I am always excited to share a story because there's somebody who needs hope out there. And I want to give you kudos to you because you're doing a fantastic job. Do not come down from that wall. Don't worry about the naysayers and those who may come against you. But take on Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 3. Stay on the wall and build. You are doing something great. And
thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Disturbing in our community, the African American community, is that we can talk about a thyroid, we can talk about cancer, breast cancer, AIDS even, but we won't deal with the mental, and that's an issue.
Sometimes you got to go back to the beginning.
From Barbados, Nakisha Vaughn.
And within myself, I was like, who's this psycho? Like, who's this weirdo? Right? And all of a sudden, he just like locked my neck.
Join us for our next episode